Mansa X released their performance for Q2 of 2025, and they reported a return on investment of 6.05% in that quarter. But let me ask you a question. How safe is your money in Mansa X? Are you offered capital preservation? How safe is your money? Or is it a place where you take in your money and chances are that once you give them 1 million, when you're going for your money, they'll tell you, hey, we can only give you 600,000 shillings. Or we are sorry, we can't give you the 1 million. Or they tell you, we are sorry, you can only get 900,000 shillings. How safe is your investment in Mansa? This is a question that I keep getting over and over again in my WhatsApp, on my email, in my comment sections, in my inbox on TikTok, on Facebook, and all my social media platforms. Berlin, how safe is my money in Mansa? And so in this video, in as much as we are reviewing the results for the Q2 of Mansa, let us also try to understand how safe is your money. If you have looked at their prospectus, you must have seen that disclaimer that no investor will always want to see in any prospectus whenever they're making an investment decision, that CMA is not responsible for your money. The disclaimer that past performance is not an indicator of future performance. The risk rating of the fund. So how safe is your money? Is it a place that you can take your money to and not miss sleep? My name is Berlin. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I do videos on financial literacy, sharing investment ideas, and the aim is to help us all attain financial freedom. Now, in this episode, we are going to be reviewing the risk aspect of Mansa X Fund so that we can understand. How is my voice, by the way? I hope you guys can hear it. So that we can understand whether Mansa X is an investment opportunity that can offer you capital preservation. And at the end of this video, you should be in a position to make a decision as to whether you'll take up this investment, or you'd like to pass it, or you'd just like to jump in with just a portion of your money. Okay? Now, let's get started. What's Mansa X? Mansa X Special Fund is a multi-asset strategy that invests in different assets, in an array of assets across the globe. Across the globe. Yeah, across borders. Okay. It is licensed by the Capital Market Authority, and it is also regulated by the Capital Market Authority. Please let me know if you can hear me clearly. I have, you can hear my voice. My voice broke. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Now, the licensing and the regulation by the Capital Market Authority is not enough. It's not enough for us. It's not enough evidence that our money is safe. So how can we guarantee? How can we gain confidence that your money will be safe in this special fund? Remember, part of their underlying assets is Forex. They trade in Forex. And how safe is Forex trading? Your guess is as good as mine. Part of their underlying assets is shares. They invest in shares. How safe is the investment in shares? Your guess is as good as mine. Some of their investment is in commodities. How safe would investment in commodities be? Now, gladly, they also invest in treasury bonds, which we know are low risk, and they also hold some funds in fixed deposits, which are low risk, and they also invest in other collective investment schemes, which are equally low to moderate risk. So how safe is your money in Mansa X Fund? Does it offer us capital preservation? Let me know in the comment section. What do you think? Having mentioned the things that I've told you, they invest in Forex, they invest in shares, they invest in commodities, they invest in bonds, both sovereign and corporate bonds. How safe does Mansa X offer you capital preservation? Please drop me a comment in the comment section. What do you think? Does it guarantee capital preservation? The answer to that question is yes. Mansa X aims, the word is aims at offering capital preservation. It is not guaranteed, but the chances of you losing your money is 0.00000 something percent. Why is that? I'll tell you why. I told you it's a multi-asset investment. Now, they invest in shares, they invest in forex, they invest in commodities, they invest in bonds and other investment aspects. But let's pick shares alone, yeah? They invest in shares across the globe. So, for instance, here in Kenya, they would diversify. When you give them 1 million, for instance, they would maybe just take 100 shillings. Is it 100 shillings? Maybe 1,000 shillings of that 1 million that you have given them to invest in shares. And when in these shares, they are also going to diversify it further across different economies. In Kenya, a portion in South Africa, a portion in UK, China, Japan, German, US, and so on and so forth. And in that country where they're investing in those shares, they are going to diversify it further into different industries. And amongst those different industries, they diversify it further into different companies. For instance, here in Kenya, in the banking sector, they can just put maybe 1 or 5% of that fund into the Kenyan stock market, and then out of that 5%, they take another just 1% of it in one industry, and then out of that 1% of the 5%, they take just a portion of it and put in one stock. At the end of the day, they have diversified this portfolio into almost 200 assets. Now, if one asset class, remember a portion of it is also invested in the low risk investment, yeah? Which is the bonds and which is the sovereign bonds. I'm not going to talk about those ones. Now, these other ones that are invested in the high yield assets which also carries high risk. In the unlikely event that one asset, they were to burn their fingers in one asset, what impact do you think this will have on the fund? Almost negligible. Why? Because they have these other assets where they had invested in that is giving them returns, which then compensates the loss that they had made. So does Mansa X offer you capital preservation? Yes, it offers us capital preservation, but does it guarantee capital preservation? No. There is a possibility that they can invest in that they invested in Safaricom, they invested in Stanchart shares, invested in BAT, in East African Breweries, in Kenya Re, and all those shares went down and they made capital losses. And over and above those shares, they also invested in the government of Kenya, in Kenyan bonds, they invested in UK bonds, in US bonds, and which other bonds. And all those bonds, all those governments defaulted and were not able to pay their bonds. And they also bought, I hope you're seeing what I'm trying to do. And they also bought dollars, they bought Japanese yens, they bought New Zealand whatevers, they bought pounds and euros, and all those currencies that they are holding lost value. So it is true that Mansa X Funds does not guarantee capital preservation. But using that demonstration that all the shares, all the currencies, they burn their fingers in all the shares, all the currencies, and even the bonds they have invested in. How possible is that? That they can burn their fingers in all the investments they have made. Let's have a look at their performance history. Now, this fund was licensed in the year 2019. In the year 2019. And this is how they have performed quarter on quarter. Have a look at it. In 2019, Q1, they made a return on investment of 5.61. In Q2, 2.36. In Q3, 4.98%. In Q4, 6.07%, making an average of 19.01%. In 2020, they made a return of 18.75% annualized. 2021, they had 15.45%, which was the worst performance since they started operating. 2022, they made 15.59%. 2023, 18.01%. 2024, 19.53%. And this year, I expect them to make not less than 18%. Anyways, in Q1 of this year, they made 4.89%. In Q2, they made 6.05%. I don't know how they're going to perform in Q3 or Q4, but I am optimistic based on their past performance. Remember I told you 2021 was their worst performance with 15.45%. How did they perform during that year? In Q1 of 2021, they made 4.19%. In Q2, they made 2.61%. In Q3, 3.74%. And in Q4, 4.91%. So in their worst performing year, their worst performing quarter was 2.61. The worst performance in any quarter is 2.36, which was in Q2 of 2029. They were still new into the market. Does it offer capital preservation? If you had joined Mansa in 2019 and you retained that investment up to now, would you be in a position to say that Mansa X has offered you capital preservation? I bet the answer is yes. Would you be in a position to say that Mansa X guarantees you capital preservation? Again, the answer is no. So what am I driving at? In as much as we are saying that it's a high yield it's an investment that targets high niche or high yield assets, and we also aware that there's a relationship between risk and return, and so it follows that Mansa X is a slightly higher risk investment. It does offer capital preservation, because had you given them 1 million in 2019, that 1 million will be something else as at now. No one has lost money ever since they started investing in this fund since 2019 Q1. But that does not mean that they cannot make a capital loss. I mean, that does not mean that they cannot make a loss. It's just that the chances of making this loan is quite minimal. Why? Because they have employed a number of risk mitigation strategy, which seems to be quite effective and working for them. In fact, we need to study how Mansa X is managing their risk, because it seems to be working for them. And I hope other fund managers also studies this fund. Other investors should also make a point of studying the risk mitigation strategies that this fund has put in place. As a matter of fact, I should be doing a video on the risk management strategies employed by Mansa X Funds. If you're a student and you're doing risk, in my campus days, I did my project was on risk management strategies by commercial bank. If I was to be in campus now, I would do risk management strategies by Mansa X Fund, because it seems to be working. What do you think about this capital preservation and capital guarantee debate that you have been having? Do you still feel that your capital, if you invested in Mansa X Fund, your capital will not be safe? Do leave me a comment in the comment section. Until next time, my name is Belin, and welcome back to your home of financial freedom.